Hello, folks. All right, welcome to another edition of Full Lyrics Breakdown. This one in particular is absolutely one of my favorites. This one's called Legendary Last Words. And as you can see here, I wrote this piece all the way back in 2013 in May. Yeah, this one in particular is one of my favorites that I've ever written. It's different. It sticks out, that's for sure. Um, and for many different reasons. For one, the main part I want to jump into right away here is the first thing I did in the very first chunk of my lyrics is I made history. I made history in the English language, because what I did was I had the very first time ever seen this where I have an entire sentence rhyme 100% within another entire sentence coinciding right after it. So what I mean by that is, to make myself clear, is every single syllable is, well, for one thing, the syllables are the same in each sentence that rhyme. So there's five in this one, six in this one, six in this, seven in that one, seven in that one, so on and so forth. And every syllable, single syllable, rhymes with every single syllable with the connecting sentence that's rhymes. And that what I'm trying to say is I was the first writer in human history to make every sentence rhyme 100%. Now understand this, we've had very good rhymers and writers over the years do things very close to this and done very well. I'm not saying I'm the only one who can rhyme well. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying here, though, is I was the first person to rhyme 100%. That's all I'm saying. Sure, you've had rappers in the past have a good long sentence, and then maybe five whole syllables will rhyme with another sentence of five syllables in it, but then you still have the beginning of the sentence, two or three syllables where they're getting to the rhyming part, and it's not 100%, maybe it's 70%, okay, and that doesn't mean it's bad at all. All I'm saying is I went the extra mile to make it rhyme 100%. Um, I'll give you like a made-up weak example how to describe this. So let's say, just for example's sake, okay, this would never be something I would really use, but just for example's sake, let's say the first sentence was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's say that, and then the second sentence I rhymed was, son, you eat more fries. Okay, you see the point. I know that's stupid, but just for the sake of understanding what I did here, that's five syllables, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, son, you eat more fries, and then another five syllables. So those are two sentences, and not only do they both rhyme, but they both rhyme 100%, because as you can hear and see, they rhyme 100%, as in the entire sentence rhymes. And that is the point I am trying to really hammer in to my writing here, is that I was the first to do that. And if that wasn't enough, that's already talented. Okay, I call it like it is. I'm talking about myself. I'm talking highly of myself because I did something great. Now, the point I want to keep going here is, okay, so just to really reiterate, and understand, the other thing that makes this talented in this piece called Legendary Last Words is I did multiple examples of this in my opening paragraph. I didn't just do it in one way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Son, you eat more fries. Yeah, I didn't just do that. I did 5, and I did 7. I did 6. What I'm trying to say is I did it in many different ways to show that not only did I want to come out and make my mark in history, but I wanted to do it in many different ways too, so that when my method is copied or applied later by someone else, sure, I don't care, that's fine, as long as people understand I did it first. I want people to understand, though, that I did it in multiple different ways. I wasn't just a one-trick pony. I did different kinds of sentences with different flows. I didn't just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, son, you eat more fries, for example. That made-up example, but to get you to understand the flow, I didn't just do that straight line. I'd also did like, son, you eat more fries, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. and I know I'm saying it's silly, but the point I'm making is I did it in many different lengths, and it was just incredible. I was able to make my mark in history in 2013, and now I'm going to go, now that I've gotten that part out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and read these lyrics. I'm not going to rap them the way it is in the actual rap, but I'm going to read the lyrics to you, and then I'm going to break down what I have done in each of them and any hidden meanings, any multiple meanings, any Easter eggs, or anything about the writing process you want to, know about that I can reveal to you now. And one thing I will say too, this opening paragraph, like I said, being the first ever to have 100% of a rhyme continuously, is this, I would say, probably by far took me the longest to write, because like I said, I didn't just want to do a one thing where it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, son, you eat more fries. I didn't just want to do that, repeat on repeat on repeat. What I wanted to do, and this is why it took me so long to write this one in particular, is I wanted to do that, and then I wanted to have a completely different sounding sentence, a completely different tone and different length of a sentence, and then do it 100% rhyming off of that one, and then do that again, and then switch it again, and then switch it again, and then finally end with 3 syllables fragments is how I ended this, just to prove I could do it in that way too, and make it make sense as if you could say it normally and not just be rapping it, where you'd have 3 syllable fragments of a whole thing that rhymes 100% all the way through. So just to understand that, that's the writing process there. It took me a very long time to do this. Trust me, it was very frustrating to find, because every sound of every word had to match with the next. There could be no room for error. I couldn't add a word in the middle like a, or the word is, or even the word or the word and. I had to make sure every sound was accounted for. Otherwise, it would not be the first 100% rhyme. 99% rhyme was not acceptable to me, so I did not do that. I wrote this so carefully so that obviously it would make sense, because, well, that's number one priority, but also that it was something dope, so you still had punchlines. It wasn't just like I'm reading, a store receipt or something. I'm giving you, food for thought and good content like I always do. I always think outside the box. You know that I always give you good punchlines, entendres, metaphors, similes, and onomatopoeias and everything. And I was able to do that at the rhyme capability of 100%. Okay, now that I've gotten that out of the way, I'll actually break down the lyrics here. Okay, so the first lyrics here, in the first part being the 100% of rhyming sentences, is, "These are my very last quotes. See arms primarily grab throats. Street smart I carry raps thrown. Feel scarred signs wearing sad tones. Preach hard time berries bad folks." Okay, I'll stop there. So those first 5 sentences, okay, they all rhyme 100% compared to the next sentence and the next consecutive sentence. 100%. So just breaking down this here. Okay, these are my very last quotes. Well, that's very simple. That's going off of the title of this rhyme, of this rap. Okay, see arms primarily grab throats. Well, that's saying, I'm choking people. I'm getting at the competition. As you all know, I do this in probably 9 out of 10 of my raps. Is I will be offensive, as in, physically offensive and stuff like that. I'm always on the offense. I'm always coming at somebody, and it's because I like the competition in hip hop and rap. I like to look at other rappers as, not all of them, of course, but I like to look at rappers that I'm competing with as in I'm attacking them in every single rhyme that I do. Pretty much every rhyme, of course. There's going to be exceptions, but so yeah, see arms primarily grab throats. Okay, so arms are grabbing throats. I'm choking the competition. I'm always attacking the competition in my raps. Street smart, I carry raps thrown. Okay, I'm doing what every rapper should do, is call themselves the greatest. This is the one, thing in life, which is in rap, where you should be bragging about yourself. You have to. If you don't think you're the best, I don't know why you're doing it at all. And if you don't think you're one of the best, of course, is what I'm really trying to say. But that's why you got to brag about yourself. So that's what I do in every rap, because what are you going to do? What's the alternative to that? Claim you're not the greatest and you're just here moderately, and just, for me, you're either in or you're out of hip hop. There is no in the middle to me. That's just my personal opinion. You're welcome to disagree, but that's just how I am. So street smart, I carry rap's throne. Okay, you know, that's the way I view it. Is I'm street smart and I carry the throne of rap. I am the best at it. That's the way that I'm viewing it in this rap, of course. And if anybody wants to know personally, no, I don't think I'm the greatest rapper. I do think I am one of the greatest rappers, and I am definitely one of the greatest writers as far as technical skill is. Okay, now that's just making that clear for everybody that wonders these things in the back of their heads. Okay, continuing. Feel scarred, signs wearing sad tones. Another thing I should have mentioned too when I'm rhyming these sentences 100% is some of these words you have to speed up to make them match. You can't just say them all at, I'm making this up, but 2 miles per hour. Some words you might have to bump up to 3 or 4 or 5 miles per hour, because otherwise you're not matching the syllables. I'll use the fake example. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Son, you eat more fries. You see how I stretched that sound? Well, that wouldn't have worked, of course, if that was the real rhyme, because you have to make them match in order for it to be a 100% rhyme. So that's what you do in some of these sentences. Now back to the lyrics. Okay, feel scarred. Yes, many people know that in order for you to feel victory, you have to go through some hardship. You can't, victories that are handed to you, what did you fight for? You didn't get a victory, then you just got a handout. It wasn't, you didn't fight hard for anything. You might have cheated or something, who knows? But you got to feel scarred. And the signs of wearing sad tones, well, that's what happens when you get scars. What are you going to do? You're going to look beat up to the people. You're going to look like somebody who has fought hard in their life. You're going to look like someone who has been through to hell and back. You're going to physically look like these things. And that's the tone you're going to be in, is a sad tone, because you've gone through hardship. And that's not a bad thing. That builds character. That's important, and that's my opinion. Continuing here. Preach hard, time buries bad folks. Okay, once again, what happens is when some people need to be talked to. You got to understand that. I'm talking about a man-to-man, if you will, a life talk, a preach. Some people need that. Okay, so you preach hard time because it buries bad folks. You understand? Well, first of all, hard time is a metaphor for prison. Prison, bad folks go to prison and you die in prison a lot. So there you go. There's that. But I'm also saying you got to preach, because hard time buries bad folks. And you understand, if you're not getting saved, as in preached to and saved, you're going to die as a bad person, be one of the bad folks. That's why it happens. So you need preaching in your life a lot of times. Not in every case. Some people understand, their consequences and stuff. Okay, continuing on here. Offer-Me-pounds-resume-top-til-done. Outta-SEEK-crowds-new-spots-for-income. Properly found through God's kingdom. propheCY-bout-to-stomp-this-punk. Knock your teeth out to drop wisdom. Okay, very dope here. Now, if you can see on the screen here how I capitalized certain words and certain letters, that's because, once again, you have to use certain speed and certain emphasis on certain parts of a word, not just, words, like whole words, but parts and letters of a word, sounds of a word, because you need it to rhyme 100%. And I don't go for 99% in this one. I go for 100%. So offer-me-pounds, resume-top-til-done. So pounds, you can take that in many ways, of course, and I'm not implying double meanings, so I'm not calling it a double meaning. I'm not doing that. I'm just simply saying you can view that in many different ways, but you can say pounds as in, well, money, because pounds is another currency in other countries, of course, rather than the United States, like, the currency that I'm obviously accustomed to. But also pounds, like fist pounds, like, which is like a form of a handshake. offer-me-pounds-resume-top-til-done. So as in staying on the top of the throne till done, till it's done for whichever way that ends up occurring, as in a good way, bad way, whatever. But offer me pounds, like respect me for the fact that I'm carrying rap is what I'm saying. Okay, continuing here, outta-SEEK-crowds-new-spots-for-income. Well, I'm pretty sure everybody figured out what that means. But it's also going with the rhyme pattern, of course, but matching every single syllable to every single syllable before it. But so you seek crowds because you want to get new spots for income. Well, obviously, because if you want to branch out, you want to get more of an audience, you want to accumulate more wealth, you have to reach more people physically and, with your lyrics, as in, get them to listen, and you want to be at more crowds. Everybody understands it, but I'm just reiterating what I said. Continuing here, properly found through God's kingdom. Okay, so what are you doing when you're trying to have faith in yourself? One thing is, if you want to do it the way that is viewed as the most proper, you're going to want to seek help from the Lord. Doesn't mean everybody believes in the Lord, of course. What I'm saying is, what is the most proper way? That is going to be viewed as the most proper way, because most of civilization is Christian on earth. Okay, so understand that, properly found through God's kingdom. Well, that's where it's going to happen. And those crowds, going with the line before that, those crowds are going to be the ones most willing to hear a story of faith, having faith in yourself. So faith, you guys get the point, I'm pretty sure. Prophecy-bout-to-stomp-this-punk. Now that part, I just want to look at the screen here. You see how I have the ly at the end of the word properly and the cy at the end of the word prophecy in capitals, because you have to emphasize those sounds to make this 100% rhyme, because you're going off of also offer me and outta-SEEK coming from the lines before that. So prophecy-bout-to-stomp-this-punk. What I'm saying is, this person that I'm beating up in this rap had it coming to them. And then the next line is the best line that I love from this part of the rap, this paragraph. And it's, again, going with the 100% rhyming. And it's also, I got the word teeth. I got the letter E's in the word teeth capitalized because I emphasize that sound and I hold that word so that I can continue with this rhyming 100%. Because if I say the word teeth too fast, teeth, it doesn't work. I have to say teeth the way I say it in the actual rap. I have to hold that E sound from the word teeth to make this rhyme 100%. So continuing on here, knock your teeth out to drop wisdom. Now I love it. I love it because it's just simple wordplay. It's not something crazy. It's something you hear and you understand it the first time. And see, I'm not always complicated. I'm not always complex. I'm not always over your head. I'm not always, you got to view, analyze, transcribe, listen to it multiple times to understand what I'm saying. I don't always do that, folks. I don't. I do it a lot. Yes, absolutely. Because I like the idea of having to listen to something more and find more gems and more things about it, about the raps, of course. In this case, I didn't go too difficult. And so knock your teeth out. Okay, well, that's what happens when you want to fight someone, you want to beat them up, you want to knock their teeth out. But I said to drop wisdom. Now, to drop wisdom, that is a very common saying. That means to give knowledge to others. And you can also view an ass whooping or a beating as teaching a lesson. Like, I'm going to fight you. Hey, you son of a bitch, I'm going to teach you a lesson. Well, that's also dropping wisdom. Okay, but then it's just a dope rhyme because I said your teeth out to drop wisdom. Well, teeth dropping out and wisdom teeth are, of course, a part of your teeth. So if you knock teeth out, then your teeth are dropping, of course, and that could be wisdom teeth. So it's just a very simple punchline, and everybody understood it. I know I don't have to explain this one, but I'm just going through it accordingly. But very dope there. Okay, continuing here. In a new rhyme pattern now. Escape the clutches, you'll get surrounded, been scraped from combusted fluid ounces, then placed up amongst ruthless poundings. Okay, And an entirely new wavelength, entirely new sound, entirely new flow, entirely new amount of syllables sentence that I'm rhyming 100%. Okay, just to reiterate the point that I didn't just do it in one way, I did it in multiple ways and made history. So, escape the clutches, you'll get surrounded. I'm saying, okay, is anybody really free anymore? I doubt it, because there's always things that are trying to clutch you. The bills are going to be clutching you. The people that depend on you are going to be clutching you. The people that work for you, if you're a boss in any sort of way, are going to be clutching you. Or of course, you're the employee, your bosses are going to be clutching you. It's what's going to happen. You're going to get surrounded, because you're never alone. You're alone in some ways, but you're never alone completely. You are, in this world, dependent on other things. No matter what you believe, you are. You are always dependent on other things. And so escape the clutches, you'll get surrounded, because that's what's going to happen to you. You are going to get surrounded. You got to escape those clutches. And of course, I'm hoping you escape them in the right way. Not a wrong way, of course, but the way where you're still going to live a happy life, of course. Been scraped from combusted fluid ounces. Well, what I'm saying there is, okay, a combustion means, of course, fire, flammable things going up. So fluid ounces, been scraped from combusted fluid ounces. Of course, you can interpret that yourself if you want, to make your own interpretation. But what I was simply saying here is, okay, you're getting surrounded. One thing, of course, would be, what are you doing when you're getting gas? Okay, gas is combusted fluid ounces once it's being used, of course. And when you're thinking about it, okay, you got everything surrounding you. That's the clutches. Okay, you got to escape them. And what happens when you're being clutched on? You're being scraped as you're trying to escape them. You're being hurt. It doesn't mean that it's going to leave you a physical scar or something. It could, but it basically means you're going to you're going to be left with scars, being scraped, and scars, going off of what I said earlier. And when it comes to everything, you could say, another interpretation I was meaning from this, just again, you can interpret this line yourself, but I'm saying, getting your blood boiled. How often do people get pissed off? Um, and when you do, there's a saying, you get your blood boiled. Okay, well, if blood was actually boiling, let's say, take it literally, that would be combusted fluid ounces, of course, too, because boiling means heat, and then fluid ounces. Yes, of course. I think I've over explained it, but that's another thing. Anger can get the best of us, and that's another clutch, is escaping anger. A lot of people have problems dealing with anger. They deal with it in different ways. It can get the best of you. It can get the best of everyone you know. So that was just a simple, well, that was not a simple, but that was an explanation that I'm looking at when I was saying the sentence. And then I said, then placed up amongst ruthless poundings. So what I'm saying there is, after all of that, okay, so after, you know, you're getting surrounded by these clutches that are going to scar you in life, that are going to keep you down, because you're never alone. And I mean that in a way as in, you're dependent on oxygen, dependent on food, you're dependent on water, you're dependent on, obviously liquids, you're dependent on medications, and you're dependent on money, you're dependent on a shelter, you're dependent on, you know, your brother, sister, daughter, son, mother, father, legal guardian. You're dependent on all these things, okay? And I'm saying, after all that, guess what? Then placed up amongst ruthless poundings. So you're still going to be, after all those things you're dependent on, the fight is not over, because then you're still going to have big fights coming to you in the future. And it's going to be ruthless poundings. That's all. I always like to emphasize that. I know I'm pessimistic at times, and this is one of those instances. I'm saying you're going to have big fights in your life, and they don't just stop with the bills or with the relationship you're going through. There's going to be bigger ones coming. Nobody has hurdles in the beginning of their life, and then the rest of their life is perfectly fine, happy, and joyful, and there's no issues. That's not how life works. Okay? All right, continuing on with the rhyme here. Blue ribbon achieved from our big galaxy. Crews-snitchin, become-cowardice-fallacies. Now, you have, in the word become, I have to hold the first sound of that word become, come, because it has to rhyme, of course, with the line before that. Blue ribbon achieved from our big galaxy. Crews-snitchin, become-cowardice-fallacies, because you have to make it rhyme a 100%, and that's what I did. So I had to hold on to that sound there. Now, anyways, blue ribbon achieved from our big galaxy. Well, what is a blue ribbon? Okay, obvious question, but that means first place winner. Okay, achieved from our big galaxy. Okay, so once again, I'm the whole galaxy, fuck the United States or Minnesota for me, or, the world, Earth. I'm saying the whole galaxy. I'm saying I got a blue ribbon achieved for this whole galaxy. That means there's a lot of talent that I have if I can do that. Okay, again, rappers, you should brag about yourself. Doesn't mean to do it all the time, but do it, often enough to the point where it's a common utterance. Anyways, continuing here. Crews-snitchin, become-cowardice-fallacies. Of course, nobody likes a snitch, let alone a whole crew of snitching. Okay? And I say they become cowardice fallacies because snitching is an act of cowardice. It's taking the blame off yourself and putting it somewhere else in many instances. And fallacies, of course, if you know what fallacies are, what fallacies basically are is a way to basically maneuver the argument at hand in a completely different direction that isn't fair. If, for the biggest example I love is this one: if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. That is a fallacy in itself. To me, that's the biggest one. That's the funniest one too, because okay, here's the best example, the funniest way that I've said this before. Actually, in school, I said this in speech class. I said, okay, so there's a detective trying to solve a murder, and he tells that to one of the witnesses. The witness doesn't have much, information to help out. The detective uses the fallacy and says, if you ain't part of this solution, as in solving the murder, then you're part of the problem. See, that doesn't make any sense at all, but people will fall for it because they don't understand that there is another option. It's that you're not part of the solution or the problem, because just because you're not helping enough by being part of the solution in the detective's eyes doesn't mean that you committed the murder. Because that's what he was saying. If you're part of the problem, well, that means you're part of the murder, or you're an accomplice, or you're covering up or something. See, that's a fallacy. Another fallacy is like the bandwagon fallacy, which is, when you have celebrities doing advertisements and stuff or helping solicitations, everybody in the world should buy this product because look at everybody's doing it. That's the common way of looking at it. Everybody's doing this, so therefore you should look at this celebrity's doing it, this politician's doing it, this athlete's doing it, so you should do it. That's bandwagon fallacy. So point is, fallacies are ways of moving arguments, and I think it's a cowardice way of getting out of your point of view by being a part of a crew that's snitching. So continuing on here, in the next rhyme pattern of this 100% rhyme: geometrical progression of deadly mass, theoretical profession does adeptly last, teach folks when simple flow lessons brung plenty cash. Now, I had to say the words teach folks when simple flow lessons brung plenty cash, but those first words, teach folks when simple flow, I had to say those words fast because it has to rhyme 100%, on time, on board, in synchronicity with the words theoretical and geometrical. Teach folks when simple flow. See how I did that? Teach folks when simple flow. I had to make them rhyme 100%, so I have to speed it up, and that's the way it works. It's still using the same words, and using them in their rightful meaning and in their rightful place, but I had to speed it up in the actual rap to make it rhyme 100%. Just showing another way how I made sentences rhyme 100%, because I don't just do it in one way. I'm not a one-trick pony. I do it in many different ways to prove that I didn't just, make my mark in history for making sentences 100% rhyme with every single syllable together, but I did it in many different ways, as in this. Now on with the rhyme itself, breaking down the lyrics. Geometrical progression of deadly mass. Now, this is something that I've actually heard in a movie. It was a line from a Godzilla movie, I believe it was, or maybe Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. I love the old giant monster movies. I love them. They're great. The ones made in Japan, of course, not the ones made in North America. Those ones are horrible, absolutely horrible. I love the ones that were made in Japan. Okay, so my point I'm trying to make is besides King Kong, the original, besides King Kong, sorry, but continuing here, so a geometrical progression of deadly mass, what it is meaning is you have one, a beast, okay, and it is growing and growing and growing and getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's deadly, okay. A scientist said that. I don't remember if it was a Godzilla movie or the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms movie, but both monster movies where the monster or the beast becomes huge, bigger than skyscrapers and such, and then they destroy buildings, and yeah. But my point is, so that's what the scientist was describing. Well, I'm applying it to myself. I'm saying I'm a beast, and I am becoming huge, and huge as in fame, as in bigger and stronger, and as in the more lyrics I am, the more deadly I am. And since I have a lot of lyrics at my disposal, of course, the way that you look at my YouTube, I've got so many videos of different raps and stuff, obviously. But so that's just what I'm saying. I'm getting bigger and more deadly. Okay, but I said it in a cool way, of course. And then theoretical profession does adeptly last. Okay, so what I'm saying is the theoretical profession, which at this point would be, of course, an MC or a rapper or, a writer, whatever you want to call it, it does adeptly last. So it does last to the point of I will master it or I will conquer it, whatever you want to call it, whatever word you prefer to use. It's this profession, it does adeptly last for me because that is what I'm doing. I am able to become bigger and stronger, as in growing my mass, being more of a beast than I already am in this sense of this rhyme, because I am, growing, and it's this profession of being a beast MC, a beast rapper. It does adeptly last, as in it does have longevity. It does go on and on for me. Okay. And the last line in this particular 100% rhyme is teach folks when simple flow lessons brung plenty cash. Okay, so what I'm saying here, pretty easy and obvious to figure this part out. I don't think anyone has a problem with it. But, okay, I can teach folks that when simple flow lessons brung plenty cash. Speaking in the past tense here. Okay, so when people learn from somebody who is amazing at rap and amazing at writing like myself, there is different flows you need to try. You cannot just do one thing. You will not succeed. I'm sorry, but you won't. You can be the greatest, greatest athlete. You can be the greatest something at one subject, at one particular idea. Okay. But when you turn into rap, and that's what you want to do, you cannot do it in one way and be successful. You have to do multiple different things. You have to be varied. You have to try different things. You can't just be someone who is only doing punchlines. You can't be someone who is only doing rap, rapidy rap, lyrical rap. You cannot be someone who only does fast rap. You cannot be somebody who only does trap rap. You cannot be someone who only wants to teach you a lesson rap. There's so many things I could go on, horrorcore or something. You need to do different different flows. You cannot just do, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No. You can't just do that all the time. You need to switch it up. And that's why I said simple flow lessons, because it's not like it's hard to figure out, but that's what's going to bring in the money, bring plenty cash, because I'm speaking in the past tense. That's how you're going to get more money from it. You got to learn how to do that. So continuing on here. Now this is, of course, changing up the rhyme patterns and the rhymes, but this is going on with the 100% rap continuation. Painfully suffer schizoid embolisms. Strain slowly convert split poised centralism. Praying only unheard sins coin existentialism. Okay, so painfully suffer schizoid embolisms. Now, a schizoid embolism, and yes, the first time I heard it was from the movie Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sharon Stone, I think. And yes, that is where I heard the term. I'm not going to pretend like I just knew this term my whole life. No, I didn't. I learned it from an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie called Total Recall. I like it. It's a good movie, good ending, very good story, plot, and characters and action and everything. It's a good flick. So, but a schizoid embolism basically it's what happens when your mind, okay, your brain is not able to figure out what is real and what is fake, what is fantasy, and then you end up going crazy. So, okay, if you have that kind of a problem, then all right, let's say you're into writing your books, okay, and let's say you write fantasy books, you write fairy tales. Well, what happened if you have a schizoid embolism? That means you don't know if you are one of your fairies in your books, or if you're your real life person with that name, your real name, the name that you were given at birth or whatever, and you don't know which one you are, and then you end up going crazy, and that's when you get, you go into an asylum or you go to the mental ward or something, the psych ward. That's what happens when you have a schizoid embolism. So, I always love to think outside the box when I'm, given new punchlines and stuff. So I'm saying, there you go, there's a new way to screw you up, because I'm always coming up with ways to attack people in my raps, of course. I'm always doing that because it's the one topic that is overused. It's used all the time is, I'm going to hurt you like such and such. But like I said, the point that makes it dope when I do it is I'm still giving you new ways to come offensively. Anyways, continuing on here. So, okay. Praying only unheard sins coin existent. Oh, sorry, I skipped a line. Strain slowly convert split poised centralism. Okay, centralism is basically it's something that's ran by one central idea only, and there's no opposition to it. So, and I'm saying basically, wouldn't that drive you nuts to be in a land, in an area, in a world, in a country, in a state, in a city, or whatever you want to call it, where it's centralism? And it exists. You could say prison, for example, but I'm not even saying prison. I'm just saying, okay, if you're in a centralistic area, wouldn't that drive you nuts? Because there is no opposition to that. There is no, well, there's this party, there's this political party, this faction, this faction. If it's centralism, you don't have that. You only have one way that the land offers you to think. You don't have another. So therefore, which part is real and which part is fake? You're going to have a schizoid embolism. And I'm also saying, okay, strain slowly. Okay, so it's going to affect you slowly because over time, you're going to think you're used to it, and then you're not. You're going to realize, oh my God, I really am messed up. I really am, in a centralism area, centralistic ideology place. And I'm saying convert the split poised centralism. Okay, if you're in a poised centralism, that means it's viewed as it's working, it's there, it's everybody act natural. We're in a centralism area sort of thing. But if it's split, okay, I'm saying to convert split poised. In other words, that's the fantasy that I'm getting at from, being within fantasy and reality from a schizoid embolism that you could have from this. There's centralism, Okay, is that real? Is it not? And I'm saying, it's how can it be split if it's centralism is one idea with no opposition to it? This place runs on one idea. That's the central idea. That's it. There is nothing further. Okay, and I'm saying, if it's split, then really it isn't real. It isn't central. So you would lose your mind and go nuts, because you might assume you know the rules because everybody goes by this centralism idea, but then all of a sudden it's working against you. They're saying new things are coming up at you like, no, this isn't going to work. And you thought you were obeying the rules. You thought you were obeying the laws of the land at hand, and you weren't. And all of a sudden you're still getting the short end of the stick anyway, even though you thought you figured out how the one idea of the centralism land works. It didn't. That's something that would drive you nuts. And that's something I think happens to a lot of us. For an easier example, okay, you find somebody to be predictable. You think you know how they work. You think you know what's going to make them happy. And then you try your idea and it completely fails. It backfires, doesn't do what you want. There you go. That's an example of that. So just these are thoughts that I have in my head sometimes, and I like to, bring them into punchlines and stuff. It's something cool to do, and instead of just saying it, hey folks, this is what I believe. This is what Adam Stark believes. Here you go. I obviously put them into my rhymes, obviously, because I'm going to be more talented than just telling you. I'm going to give you metaphors, entendres, punchlines, similes, all that good stuff. Continuing here, so the last line is, praying only unheard sins coin existentialism. Now, I had to say prayin, Prayin, with apostrophe, not praying, Praying. I had to do prayin, the slang term of it that's commonly used with words, or you take the G out and you make it in apostrophe, because otherwise it would not rhyme 100% with the line before it. Strain slowly, praying only, because if I said praying only, it wouldn't work. It would be too strong of a ing sound at the end of the word praying. It wouldn't rhyme. So just, again, showing you. All right, but continuing. Sorry about that. Now, praying only unheard sins coin existentialism. Okay, now existentialism, it's, what do you want to call it? It's a theory, or a theorem, I guess, where it's basically trying to hammer the point that the existence of the target, the person, is free, and they are responsible for their own life, as in not as, but basically it's the opposite of centralism. So I'm saying, okay, existentialism is you truly believe that you are in charge of your own life, okay? And that is a good idea to have. It's not you're under a higher power's control of your life is already planted and planned for. Everything you already did is already accounted for. Every failure, you already know it, or they already know it's going to happen. This is a strong idea here that says you do have free will, that says you are not under someone's control. You can make your own changes. You can change your life all around. But let's read the line here. I said praying, as in I'm praying, only unheard sins coin existentialism. Now, to coin something means to basically uh, give give it your own perspective, to give it your own meaning. So, like, you've heard the saying, "You coined a phrase." Well, that means, okay, you made a phrase popular. You made a slogan, or you could even say a rapper coined a phrase. You made a punchline popular or something. You gave it your own meaning, and it spread, as in popularity wise, and it, became almost like a household thing. So I'm saying, praying only unheard sins coin existentialism. So to coin existentialism, to give the idea of free will, the person believes that they're in charge of everything and no one else is responsible for them and for their life and for their outcomes. Okay. Unheard sins. Okay. Unheard sins. That means your own things that you do that are, I guess you could call them illegal, but you know they were wrong. but nobody knows about them but yourself. You hide them, you bury them in your head. It doesn't mean it has to be something serious. Maybe you just, you cheated in some way and nobody else in the entire world knows about it but you. Okay, that's an unheard sin. That means only you know it because it was never told or confessed. Okay, to give the free will. So I'm saying, hopefully, that only the sins that you know about, that you don't tell other people, that isn't, plastered on the news and in the newspapers about this guy or this girl did this or that, and, now let's hate them. I'm saying, hopefully, what coins existentialism for that person, especially since existentialism is the opposite of centralism, is the idea that you made a mistake and now you're going to live with it because it is your free will. You're not leaving it to someone else to figure out how to solve the problem that you did yourself. You did the problem. You can solve it. Maybe solve it isn't the right way to look at it, but you can live with it because of free will. You're not going to say this is how society works, centralism. You are going to understand that you believe in existentialism. You come up with the idea of being in charge of your own life, hence existentialism, coin existentialism. And the unheard sins, the things that you have done, the evil acts you've committed, no matter how, what scale of evil they are at, that pointed you to realize that free will did this and not to blame others. Because one thing I absolutely hate when you can blame someone else for your problems. It's wrong. It really is. You got to come to sense with your own problems, with your own guilt. You can't push it on everybody else. You have to understand what you do. You got to be not proud of the bad things you've done, but I know this is deep. This is a very deep conversation, but I like to put that in my lyrics. And again, notice I didn't just say, hey guys, this is something deep I want to talk to you about in this rap. Instead, I put it into crazy metaphors and punchlines. So just the idea that there is free will, okay? Live with your guilt. Understand that nobody could have, there is no way that somebody can control your soul, control how your arms move, how your legs work, by looking at you or something and making you do the evil deeds that you did. Okay, that isn't what happened. You did it. No matter what caused it, you did it. You have to live with it. And it was free will. You cannot blame someone else for why you did the things that you did. And I like to put that in a, very metaphorical perspective, using, big words and highfalutin language and stuff to make my points get across. All right, continuing on here. Okay, with this 100% rhyme. Insufficient funds make quittin' invalid. This religion runs great mission balance. List of vicious thugs ain't winning matches. It's what gets us grub. They spit and rap shit. Okay, so this is the next part. So insufficient funds, in other words, not enough money, that's what insufficient funds means. It means not enough, and funds are money. Make quittin' invalid. Okay, I didn't say the word quitting. I said quittin'. An N apostrophe, took the G out because of the next sentence. It has to rhyme. Without the ing, it wouldn't work to be 100% of a rhyme. So quittin' invalid. So a quittin' invalid, well, you can't, that means you cannot quit because you don't have enough money to do that. Okay, so insufficient funds make quittin' invalid means, you can't retire 1 year into your job, unless, of course, obviously you've worked you're 60 something years old and then you just decided to do one more job for 1 year before you retire. But I'm saying in a general sense, you cannot just work a little bit and then retire. You won't have enough money to do that. It's not how it works. Continuing though, this religion runs great mission balance. No, I said this, and I don't mean this as serious to the point as in a real church, as in a real thing. So I don't want people freaking out. It's just something I like to say, as in it's a comparison. But I'm saying religion, hip-hop is like religion. You believe in it, you live by it, you walk and talk and act like it, and you do everything about it for hip-hop, for rap, for writing, for coming up with lyrics, for battling, for ciphering, for freestyling, all that stuff. Okay, for the clothes and stuff, for the fashions. But what I'm just trying to say is, okay, I'm comparing it to a religion. I do that a lot. Doesn't mean it, so I don't want people freaking out and telling me, oh my God, Adam Stark thinks hip-hop is a religion. Does he pray to the Lord of hip-hop? Don't start making crazy accusations. It's simply a comparison. There's a lot of things you could say are like religions too. This is just one example. So I don't want people getting freaked out and pissed off. Anyways, great mission balance, okay? In other words, there's so many things you can do with hip-hop. You can be someone who's a writer, someone who's a freestyler, someone who's a performer, someone who's a producer, an engineer, a sound engineer, somebody who only does hip-hop instruments, someone who only does hip-hop marketing. There's so many missions, I guess you could say, at hand, and there's a balance to it, in my eyes anyway. So it's just a great mission balance to it. Okay, continuing. List of vicious thugs ain't winning matches. It's what gets us scrubbed. They spit and rap shit. What I'm saying here is, okay, you could list so many, thugs or bad guys or whatever that ain't winning matches. So that's my point I like to make all the time too, is it doesn't matter to me personally what the guy looks like, what the girl looks like, how cool or uncool or whatever their voice is, how tough they are in real life, how many sit-ups and pull-ups they can do, how much they can bench. At the end of the day, all that matters is lyrics to me personally. So you can have 1,000 sponsors, you can have whatever, you could have my favorite rapper say that you are the greatest rapper and even better than he or she is, but none of that matters to me. The only thing that matters to me is if your lyrics are good. And the only exception to that rule to me is if you happen to be a good character. So maybe your lyrics are not lyrical and having punchlines, but if you're a good character, that's the only exception, personally. For example, like I love Snoop Dogg, absolutely, especially, in the 90s. He was amazing, and he didn't have punchlines. He didn't have metaphors. He was just such a funny character. How do you not get addicted and hooked to listening to Snoop Dogg, especially in the 90s? So that's the only exception to the lyrics rule, to me personally. And that's just going on what I'm saying. So you could list 100 rappers that are in real life, physically speaking, are tough, are thugs. Doesn't mean they're good at rap. Doesn't mean they're good at hip hop. Doesn't mean they're a star. They're probably, like I said, most people who are in hip hop are bad. I always say that. Okay, so just, in one of those image conflicts I always like to bring up. Continuing here. Okay, it's what gets us grub. They spit and rap shit. Okay, so us, as in rappers as a whole, excuse me. What's going to get us grub? Grub isn't food. Well, food, obviously you need money. And, of course, I said before, insufficient funds, not enough money, make quit invalids. You can't do that. So what do? You have a great mission balance, as in different things you can do in hip-hop, producer, rapping, writing, whatever. And then I said, spitting rap shit is what's going to get you grub. So spitting the rap shit, doing the rhyming, doing the rapping, the performing, doing the mic check 1 2 1 2, doing all that is what gets us the money. Okay, that's what happens. Not all the other stupid shit that everybody else seems to think is important. And again, this is just my opinion. You are welcome to disagree with it. But that's the way I see it. I don't want to hear nothing else. I don't care that this rapper did this and that to make his or her money. I don't give a fuck. I only care about the lyrics being good. Continuing here. In this 100% rhyme. Firing power towards unwanted dictatorship. Dire encounter bores what constant brick breakers get. Irony cowards store the haunted shit they learn with. Okay, very dope here. So first of all, firing power towards unwanted dictatorship. Okay, dictatorship's horrible idea. History will tell you that. And I know, speaking the obvious here, but firing power towards unwanted dictatorship. You could have said firing bullets at them. You could have said, but I'm saying power. That's what needs to be aimed towards the unwanted dictatorships, because there is a strength in coming together. It's a power. It's something that can stop the dictatorships. You can't just have one thing isn't going to work. What I'm saying. A dictatorship is too powerful to stop on your own. Power. There's a power in numbers. That's what you got to do. Now, continuing on here. Dire encounter bores what constant brick breakers get. Okay, now, so dire encounter, well, that means obviously an encounter that is bad, that you're going to be in danger. Okay, and bores what constant brick breakers get. Well, that just means that is what they are going to get. Now, brick breakers is my way of saying, the physical labor force in the world, the people, which is myself, by the way. I am a blue collar person myself. I'm a blue collar fella, and I am proud of that. Nothing against the others. I'm just letting you know, I am somebody who has to do physical labor to get my money's worth, to make my living. So, that I'm calling them brick breakers because it's one of those things where a foundation, what do you need? Well, it doesn't mean every foundation, obviously, but bricks is something that could be a foundation. And in a metaphorical sense, bricks are the foundation of your life. And brick breakers, well, what are you doing? You're constantly tearing down your foundation. Now, why would you be doing that? Because one day your foundation's going to fall, because everybody dies. That's correct. So, constant brick breakers. You're constantly working. You're constantly tearing the foundation down because, well, time kills us all. Time. So you're growing, and then when you grow up all the way at 100% of your lifespan, you die. Unless, of course, you get murdered, obviously. But you get the point I'm saying. Now, dire encounters is what they're going to get, because we are constant brick breakers. Whether we want to believe it or not, we're constantly tearing down our own foundation just by growing. Just the fact of that alone. Some people are tearing down their own foundation, aka dying, because they drink alcohol too much, because they take dangerous drugs and narcotics too much, because they go in dangerous areas where they're getting hurt and jumped and stabbed and so on and so forth. They're getting diseases and infections and whatever the case is. Everybody is constantly brick breaking themselves down. Okay. And so, like I said, instead of just me, Adam Stark, saying to you, hey guys, this is what I think, I always use my ability as a writer to come up with a dope way of saying it in a way that wouldn't have otherwise been said. So continuing on here, irony, cowards store the haunted shit they learn with. Now, what I like to say about this is the ironic part is cowards, as in people that are scared, people that are, I don't want to be mean and just say pussies or something, because it doesn't, anybody can be a coward. The toughest guy can be a coward. I don't like to call someone a pussy unless I really mean it, unless somebody really has like an issue with facing the music when they shouldn't. Okay. Cowards, somebody who's scared, is what they learn with is what scared the shit out of them, what haunted them. So the person that is a coward because they got haunted by something, by some bad memory, something bad happened to them in their life. It happens to be not the something that they what do you want to call it? Well, in the optimistic sense, I should say, is they learn from it, not get ruined by it. And I understand it happens both ways. I'm not stupid. But what I'm saying is, since I'm always speaking on my perspective when I rap, unless, of course, I'm saying something violent, then it's not my perspective. It's just my talent as a writer. But I'm saying cowards in the hopes that whatever bad thing happened to them that haunted them, you had something happen to your past that was horrible to you, it's ironic that they learn because of it, or they learn from it. It teaches them something. When you would hope all lessons taught would be something that you wanted to learn, well, no, that's not the case most of the time for most of the people. It's something bad taught you a lesson. Okay? You learn from mistakes. That's a common saying. You know, something bad that happened to you is how you're going to learn in that way, of course. And if you don't learn from it, well, that's the other side of the issue here, is you could say that, but I'm giving you my perspective on it, that the bad stuff is what they learn with, not the good stuff, and that's where the irony is. Continuing here with this 100% every single syllable rhyme paragraph that I wrote. Etched hole left in his tint black heart he wasted. Special definition that Stark created. Okay, now, etched hole left in his tint black heart he wasted. Well, if you have a black heart or a dark heart, it's a metaphor, it's a saying that we've all heard before, that it means you're evil. It means like you're pure evil. You're like made of stone. It's like you have nerves of steel. You have a black heart for a hole, you know. And so if you have that, what does that mean? Well, it means that you are somebody who you only think for yourself, or you're selfish, and you use your selfishness to gain by ruining others' days or promises, or whatever it is. And I'm saying, etched hole left in his tint black heart he wasted. Well, there you go. He could have used his heart for good use, but he wasted it on bad things that only helped him or her in the idea. And then in the next line, I reveal that it's me, because I said special definition that Stark created. Now, when I say special definition that Stark created, as in me, Adam Stark, created, I go on with the final part of the paragraph of every single syllable rhyming 100% is 3 syllables at a time. I did that because I wanted to end, like I said, I already did many different syllables, many different lengths of sentences to rhyme 100%. So I wanted to just do it in a completely different way than all of the other ones. But I wanted to do just 3 syllables and make a whole sentence that you could say out loud in a normal voice without rapping. And you could say it, and it would work, and it would make sense. And that's where I said special definition that Stark created. So I give you the definition that I created that's special because it's for me. And I say destruction. So let's go on here. Destruction is functioned, conjunction, in grudges, when punches, get up in his stomach, 6 nudges, then brung him, split crutches. So there I'm saying is destruction. It happens when, guess what? Punches hit the guy's stomach, 6 nudges. Well, that's a far, point of being moved. Not just 1 nudge, but 6 of them. And I said, then it brung him, basically, split crutches. So now he has to use crutches to move. He got injured that badly. That's my own definition of destruction I just created, and it's 3 syllables. Destruction. And you say all of that, and it rhymes 100%. There isn't another syllable in any of these sentences. Well, they're not sentences, they're fragments. But there isn't any one sound that doesn't rhyme 100% with that 3-syllable word destruction. And it makes sense. You can say it all the way through, and it will work. And that, folks, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of this part of the rap, Legendary Last Words. My rap where I rhymed 100%, as in every single syllable coincided with the rhyme of the next sentence. Every single syllable rhymed 100%. And in many different ways. And now the rest of this rap, I did not do that. Okay, but that first paragraph, absolutely I did. Now I'm going to continue on here, and I'm going to continue to do more of the lyrics that I had here. Okay, so then I said, after, now no longer 100% rhyming, just keep that in mind. Now I'm going to break down the rest of the lyrics in this rap. Okay, I wrote verses to kill, verses to save lives. I'll leave my foes frozen in their tracks. like a blizzard warning on an Alaskan bass fisherman's weather rotary map. So what I'm saying there is, okay, I wrote verses to kill, verses to save lives. Now, why I said that is I wanted to know if people knew what I meant when I said it. I'm saying verses, I wrote verses, as in I wrote a paragraph, a wording, a work of an English language writing piece. Okay, those kind of verses, a rap of verse. And then I said verses to kill, verses to save lives. Now, why I said it like that is because verses is a homophone, verses are words, and then verses are, it's basically pinning one thing against another. You know, you got Muhammad Ali versus Foreman. You know, it's, you know, you're pinning two things against each other in a competition, in a fight, in a battle, you know, or so on and so forth. So I'm saying I wrote verses, raps to kill, verses to save lives. So I said I wrote raps to kill as opposed to save lives, because as I always say, it's a competition. I'm here to fight with my lyrics. I'm not here to make friends, you know, unless of course I respect somebody that is another rapper. But I'm saying, generally speaking, I like the competition, so I'm here to kill the competition, you know, metaphorically speaking, with lyrics. So continuing here, and then I said, okay, how do I plan to kill them? Like a blizzard warning on an Alaskan bass fisherman's weather rotary map. Now, okay, in Alaska, obviously there can be blizzards, and that's more likely to happen there than anywhere else in the United States. And I'm saying, okay, of somebody who's fishing in Alaska, if they're rich enough and they have one of those weather rotary maps that shows you the climate, it shows you the population growth, it shows you the density of the waters and the ice you're on and everything. Well, a blizzard warning on there would pop up on their weather rotary map, and what would it do? It would leave them froze in their tracks, because then you look on the screen of the weather rotary map and you'd see that it would be a blizzard warning, and then what would you do? You'd be frozen where you're at, because if the blizzard warning is where you are on and you're an Alaskan fisherman, okay, what's going to happen? You're frozen in your tracks. It would, just like it would pop up on your weather rotary map saying there's a blizzard warning, then guess what? You're stuck there. And so that is just a dope way of saying I'll leave my foes frozen in their tracks, as in, you know, you ain't going to fuck with me, buddy. You know, you're going to get ruined, and you're going to get, you know, beaten the shit out of with my lyrics. Now, continuing on here, metaphorically and physically, I'm going to destroy your heart complex with one bar now. Locate your ribs and jab a sharp object the fourth lumbar down. So I'm saying I'm going to destroy you with one bar now. Okay? Now, one bar as in one rhyme, one line. Okay? Your ribs and jab a sharp object the fourth lumbar down. Now, your ribs is what you're going to do is, if you're trying to kill someone with one blow, you're going to stab them in their heart. And if you can get through the ribs, through the fourth lumbar in the ribs, that's what'll happen, is between the fourth and fifth lumbar is the heart. Okay, and that's what you would do. And if you're wondering where I learned this, I actually learned this from a video game I played a long time ago. And shoot, I'm blanking on the name of it, pardon me, but it was a pretty good game, and it was a pretty violent game as well, but it was something cool that I learned, and I thought it'd be kind of cool to apply that to a punchline. So that's what I did here. And then I said, for those who don't know, that's the chamber to the heart. For those that don't know, I've been a danger from the start, directly related to this art. So what I'm saying is, continuing with what I was saying about stabbing you in one-hit kill sort of thing, the chamber to the heart is between the fourth and fifth lumbar. And then I'm basically saying I've been a danger from the start. So since the beginning of my rap career, I have been a danger. I have been a problem for these other MCs to keep up with, and I have been fighting the competition right out of the gate. I didn't lose 10 fights and then continue my career and get tough. No, right away I was coming out with punches out of the gate. Great lyrics right from the start. So I've been dangerous for these whack rappers to get around. Okay, so continuing here. Oh, directly related to the start. Basically, I always like to say that I would like to marry the game, as in the hip hop game, the rap game, as in that's how much rap is a part of me, my life. Okay, continuing here. Nobody knows no wordplay like Stark. When I write, I reap benefits from re-editing pre-predicates for my rhymes to have a supreme symmetrical electric fit. So that was very dope the way I put that together. Very nice rhyme pattern, and the way you don't know when things are going to rhyme next. It's unpredictable. I like doing that too sometimes. But what this is basically saying is I have amazing wordplay, as in Stark, my last name. I have amazing wordplay. And when I write, I get benefits from basically finding predicates, and I rhyme them so well that it has a very symmetrical fit, as in they rhyme so nicely, so perfectly, so smooth. But the reason why I say electric fit, not just because it rhymes, supreme symmetrical electric fit, not just because it rhymes, but I say electric fit because that's the technology that you use when you're coming up with raps in this industrial information age, is you're using tools, computers, microphones and stuff. So there, it's not, what do you want to call it? I don't know what word to use, but it's organic fit or something. It's an electric fit because you are putting it on the YouTube, you're putting it on your computer, you're putting it through a file to make it fit. It's just, and yes, it helps the rhyme as well. So there's more benefits to that. Okay, continuing on here though, I said, if you're weak, this rap game will get you fucked. So if your ass is tense and you need assistance, then you should have stayed abstinent. Okay, so first of all, I'm saying that the rap game will get you fucked. Now, the word fuck, as we all know, is one of the few words in the English language, yes, with slang applied, of course, but can literally mean it has such a multiple, you have so many options with that word, because you can mean it in a sexual way, you can mean it in a physical way, you can mean it as an insult, whether random or whether on purpose. You can use it in an offensive way, you can use it to describe many things. The word fuck is flexible. You could say, you are a fuck. And again, it's not, it sounds nonsensical, but if you're using it in a slang word, well, that could have actually offend somebody, calling them that. It doesn't work with other words. But so I'm saying, of course, you get fucked. Well, that would mean as in screwed over, as in you would get run over by the competition in hip hop. You would not succeed. So that's my definition of saying you'd get fucked. You'd get screwed over, you would lose. And then I was saying, then you realize I'm comparing it because I say, so if your ass is tense, and I use three words that sound alike, and they all start with an ah sound. So if your ass is tense, well then guess what? Getting fucked in the ass is tense. Then you need assistance. So you need assistance. You can't win by yourself. You're getting beat up. Then you should have stayed abstinent, because getting fucked, as in, bending over and taking it, whether actually physically doing that, or as in getting screwed over, as in things didn't go your way. It's simply calling it that. Well, I'm saying you should have stayed abstinent, as in not fucking with hip hop. Because if you're abstinent, then you're a virgin and you're not going to be a part of it, okay? A part of something that you would get fucked, obviously. So you shouldn't have fucked with the game of rap at all, is what I'm saying here. But you did, and since you're weak, then if your ass is tense, then you're going to want help or assistance, because you should have stayed abstinent, because you're going to lose, is what I'm saying here. Now, from the game as a whole. Continuing on here, I have a reservoir supply of metaphors to try. They brought the caution sign in when I caught him signing. Okay, continuing on here. I have a reservoir supply of metaphors to try. In other words, I'm always creating metaphors. Always. I always have a supply of them, a reservoir supply. There's always metaphors when it comes to Adam Stark. I come up with new ones all the time. I put them on YouTube. and such, and I can come up with a way to make any situation dope. Putting laundry away, you better bet I'll come up with a double or triple meaning about it. So, turning the lights on, I'll come up with a double or triple meaning about it. I always do that. I always come up with something dope for any idea. And so when I said they brought the caution sign in, when I caught him signing. So when I caught somebody signing, as in making finger gestures, making, obscene, taunts or something, they brought the caution sign in, as in they knew that this was going to be a dangerous area to be by, because Adam Stark didn't take no bullshit, and he's going to beat up the person that's showing disrespect. And then continuing on here, I said, I will fuck up your mainframe like Control-Alt-Delete if you don't know my type. Well, that just means, okay, your mainframe and your computer, and my type. Now, type can mean what kind of person you are, as in I'm saying that you don't know my type. I'm a rapper. I'm a tough guy. But I'm also saying type as in on the computer, on a keyboard. You're typing. You're, pressing buttons on the keyboard. You're typing. So I'll fuck your mainframe up, because if you hold Control-Alt-Delete, your mainframe comes up with this option of, do you want to end your program? Do you want to log your computer off? Do you want to shut down your computer? Do you want to put it in emergency lockdown? All those things. You screw with your mainframe of your computer. And your mainframe, I'm also comparing it to, because I said this is a simile, your mainframe as in your organs, your body. I'm going to fuck it up. Anyways, in like a fight sense. I will even leave you left-stranded and beat you left-handed like I don't know my rights. This is a very dope simile. My rights, as in the laws. My rights are, I have a right to remain silent. I don't have a right to assault somebody, to physically attack someone, but also rights as in right-handed. If I'm left-handed and I beat you with my left hand, then that's as if saying I don't know my rights. Number one of the meaning is, I don't understand that I didn't have the right to assault you, to beat you, as in the law. But I'm also saying I don't know my rights, as in I don't know my right-handed attacks. I don't know my right use of force, and I'm using my left hand to do those. Okay. Now, continuing on here. Okay, this line right here is one of my favorite lines I've ever written in the history of my life. It's such a dope punchline. Another, of course, fighting on the offense punchline like I always do. But this one's so dope because let me just read it to you and I'll explain. Secretly contaminate all the food, then let you choose to order hors d'oeuvres or dirt. Okay, so one of the things that makes this dope, and this isn't even one of my favorite parts, or excuse me, this isn't even my favorite part of the part that makes this line dope. But, okay, hors d'oeuvres, or dirt. You got three things that go together, and they all start with the letters O-R-D, okay? And they sound alike, and you can say them without words in between them. I didn't say order the hors d'oeuvres. I said order, hors d'oeuvres, or dirt. So I can say it just like that. Three things that sound exactly the same at the beginning of them in a row in a sentence that makes sense. I'm not just saying something that's nonsensical. I'm saying something that makes sense. And the fact that it brings the whole punchline together, because I'm saying secretly contaminate the food, and then I let you, as in my victim in this punchline, to choose to order the hors d'oeuvres or dirt. Now, the hors d'oeuvres are food, and then dirt. Okay. The point is, I'm letting you choose your death, but you don't even know it. That's what makes this dope. If you eat dirt, you're going to die, obviously. Speaking the obvious. And then if you choose the hors d'oeuvres, which are the food, well, guess what? I said specifically that I secretly contaminated all the food. I didn't say that I let you know I contaminated them. I secretly did. So here you're going to, if you choose the dirt, you'll die. If you choose the food, you didn't know it, but it's contaminated. So you're going to die from eating the food. And what makes it dope as hell is that you don't know the food is contaminated because it's secretly contaminated. And you're going to eat the food thinking that you're actually going to live. And that's what makes this twice as evil, is because you're eating the food as opposed to the dirt, thinking you're going to have a chance to live, but you're going to die in vain. You're going to have that, your spirits are going to go up because you're going to think, oh, thank God there's an alternative to dirt to eat. But what you did eat as an alternative is something that kills you anyway. So just imagine your face when you found out that that food is killing you. Very dope punchline. One of my favorite things I've ever written. It's amazing. It's impeccable. It's just wonderful. It flows together nicely, and it's a good punchline, as in a physically attacking punchline that I always do against my competition. Okay, continuing on here. Nice wordplay in this one. I'm as intelligent as a member of an Ivy League. Stalk my opponent while he suffers from HIV. Then I poisoned his IV with poisonous ivy. So the point of this one, I want to think of things that rhymed with ivy, but that were literally the sound IV. That was something I wanted to emphasize when I wrote this. So I said, I'm as intelligent as a member of an Ivy League. Well, an Ivy League student or an Ivy League board member is going to be very intelligent. So I'm saying you can compare my intelligence with them. Bragging about myself, of course. Okay, then I said, stalk my opponent while he suffers from HIV. Well, there's the IV sound again. Okay, so stalk my opponent while he suffers from HIV. Well, I'm going to stalk my opponent while he's basically dying from the HIV virus or disease. And then I poisoned his IV. There's the IV again. IV is the tube that goes into your veins when you're at the doctor or at the paramedics or whatever. And I said, I'll poison his IV with poisonous ivy. Well, that rhymes. Poisoned his IV, poisonous ivy. Okay, poisonous ivy is a plant or a herb or something. I don't know 100%, but I do know this. The poisonous ivy is leaves that you put onto somebody and they are going to get a rash. They are going to get very sick. And I'm sure enough of it could kill someone. But so imagine this person who has HIV has an IV in their veins, a tube in their veins, but I'm replacing it with poisonous ivy. So instead of a fluid IV thing keeping you going and breathing and living, I'm replacing that with freaking poisonous ivy. So your arm that the vein, the tube was in, the IV was in, now has friggin' poisonous ivy there. It's going to hurt, and it's going to be tremendous torture. And it all has the IV sound. Okay, continuing on here. I hope everyone can respect my prominent lecture and tell every whack rapper to go back to being audience members. Okay, so I'm giving you a prominent lecture. I hope everyone can respect it. Well, I'm always trying to teach lessons in my raps, whether it's a simple lesson as in, I'm going to fuck you up by having amazing punchlines and multiple meanings and entendres and metaphors and similes and so on. It can also be a lesson of, this is how a good rapper sounds, or it can be a lesson of, hey, let me teach you that these words can rhyme that you didn't think could rhyme, and whatever it is. I'm saying people hope they respect it because my lecture, as in I'm always teaching stuff, and tell every whack rapper to go back to being audience members. Well, before you start something, you are an audience to it first. So nobody was just born, oh, I'm a rapper right now. No, you heard rap first. Even if it was just one, you heard one rapper first. Then you said, I want to try and be a rapper now, and I'm starting my career today. Whatever the case is, you were an audience member first. And I want every whack rapper or, bad rapper or bad, horrible, stupid rapper that's out there to go back to being an audience member. Just go back to that part. We don't need you in this game. Go back to just being a listener. Continuing here. And to those who still disrespected me, as in after the prominent lecture, fuck you, fuck everything about you, fuck everything you ever think you ever will amount to. So that's just me, being very passionate about my talent, and I hate getting hate for no reason. I always like justifiable hate is understandable to me. I'm a reasonable guy. If I get criticized for something and it makes sense, believe me, I will shake your hand and agree with you. But if it's just random shit, if it's because I don't sound like the retards who only rap about being in a club and dancing and smoking and having a car and having a girl and having sex, because I don't sound like them, you think I'm whack. That is a type of criticism that to me is an absolute abomination. It's a lamenting statement to make against me, and I don't agree with shit like that. And so I'm saying fuck. I'm not, instead of just saying, fuck you, I take it further by saying, well, not just fuck you, but fuck everything about you. So fuck, your life, your family, and then I say fuck everything that you ever think you ever will amount to. So in other words, fuck your future and fuck everything that you believe. You believe in yourself. You're going to become a star. Fuck everything that you think you're going to end up with in your future. It's just giving you the all-out disrespect because you disrespected me. Okay, continuing on here. This part I rapped just a little bit faster, just a tad. But I said, willing to prove my lyrics are fire like sparks from startup car tires when I get to rapping. Now, the thing I say is, my lyrics are fire. Now, fire, of course, in hip-hop slang means good. Oh, that was fire. Well, that means that was good lyrics. That was talented lyrics. But also, I'm saying fire in the literal sense, because I said my lyrics are fire like sparks from startup car tires. Well, sparks, of course, you know what sparks are. Sparks are little bits of fire and flames that are being trajected off of something. Like if you're a blacksmith and you are welding or something, you're going to see sparks flying. Okay, but I'm saying startup car tires. Well, when you're testing the car tires, your startup car tires, you're testing them on your vehicle, your make and model of whatever it is. I'm saying brand new. I'm saying there's nothing on the odometer yet. You're just getting your car made in the actual factory where it's being birthed, if you will. Your startup car tires, when you're testing all the pieces of your car, your vehicle, your automobile, the startup car tires should have sparks coming out of them because it's the first time being used, and because you're going to make sure that your car is stable at all speeds and you're going to make sure it can turn correctly and operate successfully, and you're going to see sparks from those startup car tires. So I'm just making a random comparison to how fire my lyrics are, because like I said, I always think outside of the box. I'm always original. I'm always saying things that for the most part you wouldn't have thought of or you wouldn't have said yourself, because that's what being a creative writer is. I always do that. I always try and do that. Continuing here, my phlegm becomes flammable like a wicker basket. Now, phlegm, of course, is buildup of mucus in your throat, and flammable. I'm saying my phlegm, because rapping is spitting. Okay, phlegm becomes flammable. I'm saying that's my lyrics are fire, and lyrics are spitting lyrics, and phlegm is what can get caught in your throat. Well, my phlegm is fire because flammable is fire. Okay, lyrics are fire, like sparks from startup car tires. Phlegm, which is stuff that you spit, and spitting is rapping, and spitting lyrics and spitting, and it's flammable. So what I'm spitting is fire. Okay, that's a fancy way of saying that. Phlegm is flammable, and I say like a wicker basket, because a wicker basket, well, that's very flammable. You put that near a fire, it's gone in seconds. And then I said, so when I spit, I can set you on fire quicker than a scissors when it's ripping plastic. So when I spit my fire lyrics, my phlegm that's flammable, I can set you on fire, the victim, quicker than how fast it is to rip a plastic with some scissors. Because a scissors ripping plastic, well, it's done in a millisecond. You pull down the pressure on your scissors on each end of it, and that plastic is going to get ripped instantly. Well, I'm saying that's how fast I can set you on fire with my talent. Continuing on here. If you heard me say you qualified, I probably meant to say a koala flied. Okay, so those qualified and koala flied, they sound exactly the same. Well, no, not exactly. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. They sound pretty close to the same thing. And so what are the chances I am ever going to say a koala flied? You know what I mean? I'm never going to say that. I'm never going to be by a koala. I'm never going to say that. That sentence isn't going to come out of my mouth. So that's how to say, if you thought I said that you qualified, then I probably meant to say something that is never going to be said almost ever, that a koala flied. I'm saying I will never say that you're talented, ever, speaking to my competition. And I'd more likely say something ridiculously uncommon to say, as in saying a koala flied. Just a funny punchline right there, just showing that there's something utterly ridiculous and extremely epically rare that I would rather say a koala flied as opposed to saying you qualified. Okay, as in you get your recognition for being good at something. Just a dope, funny little punchline. Continuing here on the final lines, I prevail in the long run like woman's suffrage. Getting dissed by Adam Stark doesn't have insurance coverage. I'm saying, okay, I prevail in the long run, as in I will succeed in by the end of my road, by the end of my career, by the end of my life, like women's suffrage. Women's suffrage took how many years did women's suffrage take? A long fucking time. Even though we're not going to pretend like women's suffrage didn't get passed for a bad reason, it only got passed so that the entire population could be taxed. Okay, let's not play stupid here. That's the only reason. It wasn't to liberate women. No, it was admitted by, what was his name? Nicholas Rockefeller, I believe. The women's suffrage was only passed and whatever you want to call it, done, succeeded, completed, to tax the entire population and nothing more. It was a greedy reason. It wasn't to help anybody or help a group of people or to help one sex of people. It was to tax the entire population. But my point is, I prevail in the long run, just like women's suffrage did. Took a long run to get that going, and it prevailed, and so will I. And then I said, getting dissed by Adam Stark, as in me, doesn't have insurance coverage. Now, no shit, I understand. My name, Adam Stark, a diss victim, isn't going to be on anyone's insurance coverage. I understand that, okay? It's just something funny that I came up with. I'm saying that it's something that isn't going to be covered ever because it's that dangerous and that no company out there is going to want to protect you from it. In a joking sense, of course, but just a dope punchline. Anyways, that is the end of breaking down all of the lyrics to my history-making monumental rap called Legendary Last Words. If you have any questions, please leave a comment or send me a message. I would love to answer any questions you have about my lyrics or my process or any other hidden meanings or Easter eggs or things you don't believe got answered completely. And please give me a thumbs up, a like, and subscribe. And I hope everybody has a good day. Thank you for listening.